Okay, the South Union Township monthly meeting will now come to order. Please stand for a moment of silent prayer. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the roll call, Mr. Vernon. Here. Mr. Scott. Here. Ms. Schiffber here. Next item, the monthly Roadmasters report. Mr. Vernon, please.
Thank you, Mr. Schiffber. For the month of September, following is the Roadmasters report. We used a sweeper truck 4 days throughout the month of September. We worked at the compost center 14 days. Had the tractor out 6 days in the township. We worked on the trail almost every day. We have a couple of girls cleaning it for us and watching over it. We paved over 1,500 ton of our summer paving project is completed. We trimmed trees throughout the township. We worked on the Rubel Drive, Wiggins area, down below at the bottom of Wiggins Lane. We put two new signs throughout the township. We clean out the trough and Leith area. We clean out drains throughout the townships once a week. We picked up tree branches throughout the township after the last storm. And we put down stop in front of the stop signs on the new paving. And we whacked guardrails and cinder road wall. And also we did some emerson patching throughout the township. That concludes my report for the month.
Thank you, Mr. Vernon. If there's no additions, we'll move on to the next item of business. The sewage department report. Mr. Scott, please.
Yes, sir. During the month of September, the pump station's all been running fine. Route 21 had pump 3 with a bearing issue. It's out for warranty work. State Pipe has been working on completing the videoing of all the sewer lines that enter into Route 21. I should have a report next month for that. We also received a grant in the amount of $285,000 from the DCED for the Redstone Brownfield Sewer Project. Hopefully we'll get this project out for bid before the end of the year. It's around a $500,000 project, and it's to take care of the surcharging that happens on Redstone Furnace Road when it rains for any period of time. So we're happy to get that grant. Dana Kendrick from K2 Engineering.
To approve the minutes of last month's meeting, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve them.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion have made, duly seconded, to approve the minutes of last month's meeting. On roll call, Mr. Vernon.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Schiffber, yes. Motion carries. Next item, are there any comments on the agenda items? If not, we'll move on to the next item, update of Sheepskin Trail. As you know, it's been a little bit over a year now since we opened our Sheepskin Trail, approximately 2.2 miles, that the head end begins in the community of Leith, South Union, close to the border of Uniontown, and it runs basically along the railroad tracks, the Southwest Railroad, through Leith, Meadowbrook, into the Hutchinson Ballpark. The one area that we did not complete initially that we have plans to start this month would be to pick up from the head end in Leith and take that up to Pennsylvania Avenue. That will terminate right next to the Kless building that South Union Township purchased for the development and refurbishing it and converting it into an indoor recreation facility, a turf surface that we will be installing. Work on that has yet to start, but we are in the planning stage. I don't know if Mr. Scott would like to comment on it, but as far as the trail goes, we will begin work, and we will be taking that from Leith, actually where the Barton Alley that comes off the Cinder Drive, that's where it will start, and we will take it next to the old shirt factory, crossing Barton Mill Road up to Pennsylvania Avenue, and hopefully, with weather permitting, we will have that section of the trail done, completed, and also paved, as well as we have the remainder of the trail that we opened last August. So that's my report on. And also, one other thing too, real quickly, we are still planning to hopefully submit an application for DCNR to take the trail from the Hutchinson Park in the opposite direction, southerly direction, and working with the supervisors from Georges Township and taking the trail from Hutchinson and running it all the way to the borough Fairchance. We did not have the opportunity to submit an application earlier this year simply because we do not have control of all the property. The problem there is with the county supposedly trying to work out an arrangement where Malcan, that's a private company, they own a considerable piece of old railroad line where the trail would be running. That is supposed to be worked out in a contribution, charitable contribution to the county. And the details of that still have not been worked out. Hopefully that will be finalized and completed so we can get an application in. Probably sometime the application period will open up in January or February. So we are behind on what we would like to do with this trail. That would be 3.5 mile addition to our trail system, which would be a great addition. But that is where it stands now, and we'll have something on that here sometime in the future. Mr. Scott, would you like to say anything about the indoor facility?
Yeah, we acquired the building, as I mentioned, from Klaus's family in July. And when we acquired it, there was a tenant in the building, and the lease was till October, and the tenant was having a hard time relocating, so we did give him a 1-month extension. He's supposed to be out by November 1st. But we have applied for grants. We're looking for funding for the turf, and we need to do some remodeling. So I look forward to making an announcement here soon. We do have, I believe, 3 grants in right now for the turf. So if anyone out there wants to make get your name on the building or something, give us a call and we can take care of it. We definitely like to have someone local, fund it, and we can name the building after them or do something like that. But I just want to get it up and running. I think these winters are getting longer, and just trying to keep the kids active, and the way soccer's taken off around here, it'd be nice to have a 12-month sport with soccer. So hopefully in the next month or two we have a major announcement.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Okay, nothing else on this. We will move on to the next item. Adopted ordinance repealing the ordinance number 7-08, the fireworks ordinance. As you may or may not know, the state come up with some changes in their governing and running or operating fireworks, legalizing or whatever you want to call it. A new law is established. It somewhat counters to what we had on the books, but I think we can leave that up to our solicitor to maybe explain why we are making the change or the repealing the ordinance.
And on the next 2 items, 11 and 12, it's pretty much the same reason. I believe the states come in. They have their statutes now regarding fireworks that would override the local ordinances. So, and I know South Union has been doing a lot to kind of look back at old ordinances that are unnecessary and adopting new ones. So this goes right along with that. So item 11 would be just to repeal that ordinance number 7-08. And the next one is disorderly conduct was on your books from, I think, 1996. But since that's now controlled, obviously, by the state with criminal charges.
The crimes code.
Under the crimes code, it's enforced that way, not through
Make it unconstitutional.
It's not a local ordinance anymore. So again, that would be repealed, necessary to be repealed. So.
Rick, do you have anything?
Yeah, we talked about that, Mr. Davis's father and I. We have a section 5503 in the crimes code which would cover it. And we feel if this was tested, we would lose it. It'd be unconstitutional because you have a crimes where you try to supersede with a code officer instead of a law enforcement officer. So in the advice of Mr. Davis, we decided to kill it.
Yeah, because it would not be enforceable by a code enforcement officer. It would be the state police or
local police.
Okay. Yeah, in our ordinance, we did find it hard to enforce it. It's one of those issues that there's no easy way to handle it, especially with the behavior of some people that will not conform to the concerns of the public. But now that the state's got involved into it more, we will rely on the state with their new rules and regulations on controlling fireworks. Okay, so the chair would entertain a motion on item number 11.
I'll move to repeal item number 11, fireworks ordinance 708.
A second on the motion?
I'll second Mr. Vernon's motion.
Motion has been made and duly seconded to appeal the Old Township Fire Ordinance as identified as 7-08, the firework ordinance. On the roll call, Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Schiffner, yes. Next item, I don't know if there need any further discussion, but on the repealing the disorderly conduct ordinance, the chair would entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion that we adopt an ordinance repealing ordinance number 1-96, the disorderly conduct ordinance.
I'll second Mr. Scott's motion.
A motion is made, duly seconded to adopt an ordinance repealing the ordinance as identified as 1-96, the disorderly conduct ordinance of South Union. On the roll call, Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Mr. Schiffner, yes. Motion carries. Okay, item number 13, pass resolution approving the 2018 fiscal year for the Community Development Block Grant Funding Program. We have Mr. French here today. We've been working with, we met a little earlier before the start of the meeting to wrap up some final details with the 2018 funding. And Andrew, can you comment, elaborate what we are doing here today?
Sure.
And purpose for your attendance.
Yeah, we actually held a public hearing on June 6th earlier this year to get public comment on community development and housing needs throughout the township.
June 16th. June
I
16th.
think it was the 16th? I think it was the 6th.
Oh, yeah, special.
It was in June.
It was in June. We did it 2018.
Yeah, so we did have that additional meeting to solicit community input. But as you indicated, this is the Township's FY 2018 Community Development Block Grant Program. These are funds that originate with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and then flow through the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development and then come down to the township. The township is an entitlement township and has been for some time. So these are funds that are earmarked for South Union Township, but obviously we still need to make application and we still need to identify projects that meet all the state and federal rules and regulations. So for 2018, the township's total allocation is $152,743. That's an increase from what you received last year. As you can see, it's last year you received $135,000, and that increase is due to additional appropriation at the federal level through Congress. We back out of that an administrative fee for the redevelopment authority to not only prepare the application, but then actually implement the projects once the funding is made available. South Union Township also makes a contribution to the housing rehabilitation program. That's to assist low-income homeowners. We use that funding to leverage other local, state, and federal funds to assist low-income homeowners in the township. And then we have some other environmental review and delivery costs. So the total amount that you actually have available for project implementation this year is $117,550. And then in the chart that you've got in front of you, it kind of details what you've traditionally used the funds for in the past. It's traditionally been used for recreation improvements and various infrastructure improvements, so road reconstruction, storm sewer improvements, those types of projects. For 2018, based on our discussion that we had in June and our discussions after that, We identified 2 projects for funding through your 2018, and that was additional road reconstruction in the Continental 2 area, that community, and then additional recreation improvements at Meadowbrook Park. Specifically, the installation of restroom facilities and then potentially play equipment for that little community park as well.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. I don't think we have any questions right now. But the chair would entertain a motion on this item for the approval of the 2018 Community Development Block Grant Funding Program.
I'll make a motion to pass a resolution approving the 2018 fiscal year CDBG grant funds.
And second on the motion?
I'll second Mr. Vernon's motion.
Motion is made, duly seconded, to approve the 2018 fiscal year's Community Development Block Grant Program funding. On the roll call, Mr. Vernon.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Schiffbar, yes. Motion carries. Item number 14, motion to approve the application for tax exemption for David L. Yeager, living at 2 Suncrest Lane, Uniontown, and this will exempt him from paying the township real estate property tax. He qualifies for the program because he's a disabled veteran, and his qualifications have been checked out and verified to the township that will allow, and because of this, it allows us to grant this exception to Mr. Yeager. If there are no questions, what is the wish of the board?
I'll make a motion, we approve the application for tax exemption for David L. Yeager, 2 Suncrest Lane, from all real estate property taxes.
A second?
I'll second Mr. Scott's motion. That was approved by the Veterans Administration too. It was a
Yes.
recommendation we get.
We get a
One
letter.
letter, yeah.
Motion made, duly seconded, to exempt David L. Yeager from real estate property tax, Township. He's living at 2 Suncrest Lane, Uniontown, exempt through the Veterans Disability Program. Under the roll call, Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Ms. Schiffbar, yes. Okay, item number 15, motion to set trick or treat, as we do every year, for Wednesday, October 31st, from 5:30 to 7:30, for children 12 years and younger. They have to be accompanied by an adult. Also, in addition to this, I'd like to call on Mr. Scott. The township, for the first time, has planned an event that will be held on our trail, and it will be for children and for the purpose of celebrating this activity for the Halloween season. So, Mr. Scott, would you please fill us in?
Yes, sir. We decided on October 21st to have haunted treats on the trail. We put it out there, I think, about 2 weeks ago with some ideas. We went around, we got an animal show coming, hayride for the kids. We have a couple bonfires we're going to have, just some activities at Hutchinson Park. And then we reached out to all the local businesses, a couple of them are sitting here, that donated either financially or they're going to actually come out and hand treats out on the trail. So we're going to just spread the stations out on the trail, probably just down here to the township. And your children will just go down the trail, and we'll have vendors set up that'll be handing out treats to the children. We did have a overwhelming response when we first opened the sign-ups. We opened it up to everybody. We didn't just want to, put it out for South Union at the first, but we had over 800 kids sign up in the first, I think, 2 weeks. So we had to shut the sign-ups down as of last Monday because we're just worried about safety, parking, things like that. But if you do live in South Union Township, you can come down to the township. We're not turning you away if you live in the township. So you come down to the township, either to the sewage office or to our township office, and you still can sign your children's up if you live in South Union Township. We can't believe I just put a post on Facebook, and I think I had like 750 hits in the first hour that, people were sharing it and commenting on it, and it was so positive. People love the trail anyway, and then, Halloween seems to be my biggest hit on Facebook every year anyway when I announce the trick-or-treat night. So, bear with us, it's our first year we're trying this. Hopefully we can, I've had a lot of people say, hopefully this takes place of trick-or-treat. It doesn't this year. I don't plan on it doing it, but who knows? In the next, people are real sketchy anymore about trick-or-treat night anyway. So it's on October 21st, and it's from 1 to 5, so it's during the day. Bring the kids out. Like I said, if you live in South Union, you can still register. You just have to come down to the township.
Yeah, I just want to warn the participants that we have two pretty much natural witches that will be there. I hope they don't scare the children too much. I will let you know the names are Lori and Lynn. So, kids, I want you to be on your toes, and parents, keep a close eye on your children. So, with that, the chair would entertain a
Can I
motion.
just make one
Yes, sir.
before? Back on October 31st, we also asked if you want to participate, to turn on your front porch lights. And we will have code officers riding along with the state police patrolling that evening, those couple hours. So if you want to participate, just please turn on your porch light. That's all I wanted to mention.
All right, the chair would entertain a motion to set trick-or-treat night.
I'll move.
I'll second Mr. Scott's motion.
A motion have been made, duly second to set trick-or-treat night for South Union Township residents, children under 12, accompanied by an adult, for Wednesday, October 31st, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. On the motion, Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Mr. Schiffbar, yes. I have to excuse myself. I have an event, a dinner that hopefully I'm not going to be late. It's a dinner for the Secretary of the DCNR. Now, they've helped us here with a $260,000 grant to build our trail, and it's being sponsored by the DCNR, and I've been invited as a representative of South Union Township, and I think out of sheer courtesy, we should attend. So I have to excuse myself, and our Vice Chairman here.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott, I'm sure you can handle the
I think I
meeting.
can handle it.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Schiffbar.
thank you.
He leaves right before comments from the public, He knows when to skate out.
That's just a mere coincidence.
It's 36.
Moving on, number 16, comments from the public. Do we have any comments? Come on up and introduce
Please, Mayor.
yourself for the record.
Hi, I'm Harry Kaufman. My wife's here also, Tammy. First of all, I want to congratulate you guys on the Halloween event. I think that's fabulous. I think it's something that is needed in the community here, and you're going to have your hands full with 800 or 1,000 people, but it should be a learning experience. I'm just here. I know Mr. Vernon talked about the work that was done on Rubel, and I know I've seen Jason on around our area too. Just trying to get an update on anything that might be occurring that you might be able to help us with up in our area. We're here representing our community, the Hague Lane folks up on near Patricia Lane, and just seeing if anything's been done or you have anything in the works.
I was up to your house. I don't know if you saw me or not. The pouring down rain the other day.
It wasn't a flash flood, but it was
No,
raining.
I mean, it rained pretty good, and I was able to walk around a little bit and, kind of get a handle on things, where things are running, so. I mean, we just have to, like we've told you, we can't prepare for 3 inches of rain in 45 minutes. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, you have a mountain behind you, you have a mountain in front of you. It just, from what I
So
found.
you won't be doing anything then?
Well, we can't, so do what you want to do, we can't do. I mean, I'm being honest.
The drain across the street from us, the big black pipe, you can't redirect that. You're gonna just let that flood us every time?
To where? Redirect it to where?
Down the street.
The other side of the street, Jason.
It comes right
Instead
You
of-
just move it away from your driveway.
Well, just instead of it coming, it comes across the
We
street
looked at it.
into
Yeah.
ours. If it would go the other
So we were actually, I was actually out there the weekend after the last township meeting, when the remnants of Tropical Storm Gordon came through. That is a typical rainfall event that occurred that whole weekend over a 48-hour period.
Right.
You got nearly 7 inches of rain in this community.
Right.
The systems function fine out there. I mean, there were no problems. I was all over the neighborhood all weekend long, Saturday and Sunday, and the systems were functioning absolutely the way they were designed to function. As the DEP has pointed out in several meetings that we've had with DEP, there's actually been 5 events in South Union Township and not hit other areas around South Union Township where we've received in excess of 2.5 inches of rain in less than an hour period. It doesn't matter how much money the township would have, there's nothing that we could design to handle that kind of water. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And I understand your singular concern with the pipe across from your driveway, okay? But on that weekend, from September 7th through the 9th, the system functioned. There was nothing that was happening out there that was abnormal with the system. We'll certainly, I'm not saying we're not going to do nothing,
But we'll look at it. I mean, that's why I was
Yeah.
there the other
Well,
day in the
no,
rain.
You were looking at a regular storm.
Yes.
I get
Right, but that still tells you where the water's coming from. That still, it
That's
tells
right.
you.
If you look at it, sir, not only is it the grade in front of the house, right across the street, there's a big pipe. And right above that, 2 feet, is another pipe coming from everything on Patricia.
It's
or
been there
on
for 40
Virginia
years.
Circle.
It's been there for 40 years.
Well, I've only been here for 2 years, and I can say living in South Union has not been pleasant. I'm not getting any help. I'm paying the same taxes that everybody else pays on their properties, and where does that leave me? An unsellable home. So you put me now in a position where I can't sell my home for what it's worth because I live on a swamp and nobody ever told me about it.
Hey, Tammy,
And my
I did
neighbors are
ask you
stuck
too
there
tonight,
too.
on the disclosure when you bought the house, it didn't mention it, did it?
No, there was nothing. But now, the older neighbors are coming out of the woodwork saying, well, do you know they built those homes on a swamp? Well, that just doesn't seem legal. But we're stuck, and you guys need to help us because we are in a position where our homes are all devalued completely.
What could we do besides put a higher curb?
And I even mentioned that about the front, pulling that out a little bit so that water isn't coming back at us.
We can't put a real high curb up because then you're keeping the water on the surface of the roadway, which cause a hydroplaning issue and a safety issue for your traveling public.
Then put a speed bump so they don't go fast.
I'm not allowed to do speed bumps.
Not allowed to.
So, speed bumps are illegal in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Well,
So,
on our side of the street, you've seen it, the curb comes way in, okay? And then, of course, the grade is right there in front of our driveway. And I know with John last week, we suggested, we're not, this isn't my area of expertise, but we thought maybe if we amosited that area and moved the curb out so that it was actually aligned with all the curbs on,
And bypass your inlet then?
well, not bypass it, but it would run
It
still
would
into the grade.
lift that grade higher.
But you could lift the grade up a little bit, fill in that area and move the curb to
Right
the
now,
outside.
right now, next to that grade, we have a curb there, but we have an opening, right? Goes down to goes up to your sump pump, it's about
Yeah,
3
right.
inches.
Yeah.
It's not completely, the curb is not completely,
Oh,
It
it's
is-
still, it overflows.
I mean, you still have an opening there, we're not
Yeah.
catching, some water's going down to the next neighbor, right?
Well, yeah, and when it gets bad, I mean, they have a
Yeah.
right.
But because we have the recess on the road widens in front of my house. For whatever reason, I have no idea. That road needs to be made to where it belongs. Because that's more water intake that's flying into my property, down the driveway and into my home.
If we put a curb across, in front of the inlets, but that wouldn't help any. Still gonna go through, come back up over.
Well, do you understand what we're asking? We're asking to put blacktop down.
Yeah, that's all.
Right, we're indents in,
Oh,
blacktop
that
is
is.
down, and so that the actual curb
Array-
is
array-
outward.
arrays in and up.
The water
Yeah.
stays on the road, not coming into the inlet and
Because
coming
it seems
in
like when
Broadway.
it swings in here, it comes at a higher rate,
Mhm.
and of course, coming from the other side of the street over, it's just a lot of water. And I understand what Mr. Over's saying. I mean, I understand a lot of water at one time, it's tough to control. We're just looking for some help. Looking for some help, some way to make it alleviate a little more. But we drew something up for him, and I can show it to Jason or Rick if you guys want to stop by.
What do you think, Mr. Everett? You saw it? If we raise the inlet up?
So typically, the pressing in the inlets is the way more water gets into the inlet. You typically want that inlet compressed 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half below the surface of the roadway. Raising it up is not going to get more, from an engineering standpoint, it's not going to get more water into the inlet, so.
We don't want the inlet.
I know.
Get rid of it.
They want the inlet relocated, is what they need.
Just
So,
fill it in.
Away from their driveway, we're up and down there.
filling it in is not going to be the answer, so.
Yeah, just get the pipe there.
Okay, well,
You guys could at least make an attempt as a collective group to come out and come when we're home, so we can like put our thinking caps on and work together, instead of us having to just come at a meeting and realize that nothing's happening. That would be helpful.
yeah, and I appreciate you coming out, and I know Rick's.
I'm
trying-
trying
I'll
to
buy
find
that.
a solution. I'm not gonna,
Yeah, I mean, that's all we want. I
I'm not a sugarcoat politician. I mean, I tell you the way it
You
is.
didn't tell us anything, honey. You came and you sat out there and never even.
But I
knocked
told
on
you the
door.
last time I was there.
But you don't,
Your fence,
you don't
your
want to
swimming
work
pool,
with us. You
and
want to just
that
observe what
changed
you
the whole-
observe, and you want to be able to say, there's nothing we can do. Well, there are a few things, I think, if you guys want to work with us. We're not the only neighbors.
We try to help everybody, believe me.
we do. And I've been out there, you know, I just don't, I can't tell you what you want to hear.
I want you
can't
to,
tell.
I want you
If he could tell me the way to fix it, I'll
Have
do
you
it.
asked him, or did you just come
How
out
many
with it by
times have I
yourself?
asked you?
We've talked.
I've been in
Yeah,
this truck
Sean's
with
been-
him at
Sean's
your
been
house.
involved in it.
Well,
I've
please
probably been to your
include
house
us
5
so
or
we
6
can see
times.
what
I
you're
met with
looking
you
at.
twice with him.
Not a, I'm
Okay,
not
well,
gonna get into a competition here.
That, we're
So,
here
but
just
It's not a competition.
Find
It's
some
just,
solution.
I don't see a solution. I mean, if you just see
There
a
has to be
solution,
a solution. If we are a taxpayer, something has to be done.
nothing has changed in that neighborhood in how many years? I've only been here 5 years, but nothing's changed since I've been here.
I started in 2006.
And nothing has changed. There's no new houses above you. There's no new development above you. I mean,
Well,
nothing up there has changed in the past.
Okay,
Well, to interrupt,
and if
well,
you go
when-
down to some of the other neighbors, they will tell you, they've never been able to put anything in their backyard because it's a swamp. So apparently that hasn't changed, nobody ever fixed it.
You know, and it just, they're not here today, but people up on the corner, Brenna, what's her last name?
Oh my
King.
God, the Kings.
King's, the ones up by the lake, their backyard is just Mock City, a swamp. And,
It's.
That's where Scott Project used to live.
yeah,
Yeah,
indeed,
yeah.
yeah,
Do we
indeed.
have
But
any, do we have any?
there's nothing these supervisors under the law can do. They're not allowed to go on that private property and correct drainage issues back there.
Right.
That's
I
a
get that.
natural
I totally
drainage
get that, but
swell.
the fact that it's coming from Virginia Circle, down Patricia Lane, bombarding us, you can't do anything about
But
that?
you take away the houses and it is a valley. That's where all the water would go, even if there were no houses that existed.
Then you
there.
have to find a way to redirect it, be it a pipe.
Under the
or
laws, I'm not
casing.
allowed to redirect it. I'm not allowed, the natural drainage course of the water must remain. So and, you know, your house unfortunately was built before the Uniform Construction Code went into effect in 2004, because now, these days, the stuff around your house wouldn't exist. A couple other things, I mean, the developer that built those homes along there, when he created that drainage swell in the back of your house, he should have put that in an easement so that nobody could build within that easement and that natural drainage swell would still exist, which would certainly help your problem back there. So,
But he didn't.
unfortunately, that's outside the control of the township. So, I mean, they can, you know, And like I said, on January 7th through the 9th, the systems on the township's right-of-way, the drainage systems within the right-of-way, they functioned, and they had 7 inches of rain, about 6.9 inches of rain in this neighborhood, in this community. I mean, that's a lot of rain to have over a 48-hour period, and the systems functioned fine. Nobody got inundated with water anywhere.
Well, we get it coming down our driveway from the inlet. And why do you
Not
have
on
yellow
the not
sandbags?
the 7th through the 9th. I did not see that
Well,
happen.
because I have sandbags up, and I spent $2,000 to put a new grate in.
But it did not overtop the curb on the roadway the 7th through the, at least
It went
I was
over-
only out there twice.
Right,
I was
it
out
went
there on
over the
Saturday and
curb
I was out
into-
there on Sunday.
Into the side yard where the opening is. Is it Mr. Madison who does the asphalt? Is that the
He
gentleman?
was one of the guys.
Yeah, maybe he can,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's.
Close.
We had all the guys do
If
that.
there's an opening in the curb, it's gonna go through the opening.
I know from experience too, I think your drain in front of your garage needs to be wider. It's so small.
no, it's just was brand new put in.
I know, but it's so
Literally.
small, it can't pick up too much water.
No, it doesn't matter, Rick. It doesn't matter if it's this big or this big. If all that water's coming, where's it gonna go?
It's gonna go in the trough and out.
Guess what? That's full to the top.
She's saying it's.
It has nowhere to go till everything starts to recede.
Don't you have a pump right there?
Yeah, but it pumps
Yeah.
into
But it,
something that's
it
full.
only works so fast.
Yeah.
Because it's Mr. Cruz's pipe is filling that up, and Patricia Lane's filling it up, so it's full. It gets so full that it can't go anywhere. Now, that's why I thought the one across the street could just go down further and catch somewhere on the
You
deep line.
catch the pipe below your.
On the deep
Well,
line,
yeah,
yes.
Because it's coming directly out.
And
I
then,
think that
yes, it
really
would
help.
slow things up, because that's all you need in a flash flood, is to slow it up.
Okay, so thank you. We'll,
Thank you.
Get back to us.
Anyone else?
Dawn, no problem.
Number 17, the financial statement. The general fund checking account, $286,083.53. And the general fund investment account, $403,182.93. And the state fund, $318,954.57. The hydrant fund, $7,224.55. In the athletic fund, $10,918.24. In the payroll fund, $7,608.72. In the sheepskin trail fund, $3,936.51. North Union, South Union Intergovernmental Board Fund, $23,544.83. And in the recycling fund, $67,898.47. For a total in the road department, $1,129,352.35. The sewage fund, the total would be $2,153,066.85 for a grand total of $3,282,419.20. That's my financial statement. You have any corrections?
No correction.
Number 18, motion to pay all current bills. Mr. Vernon.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to pay the following bills. North Union, South Union Intergovernmental Board Fund, $11,204. Our state fund, $3,536.87. The fire hydrant fund, $1,114.80. The athletic fund, $2,535. The sewage fund, $162,078.48, and the general fund, $266,937.76. That's my motion to pay the bills.
We have a motion. I'll second Mr. Vernon's motion to pay the current bills. On the roll call, Mr. Vernon?
Yes,
Mr. Scott? Yes. Mr. Schiffbauer?
he's
No
absent.
answer. Number 19, and Mr. Engineer, do you have anything else to report?
I do. I mean, from the Greater Joint Sewage Authority standpoint, as the supervisors know, there's an ongoing study being conducted of the existing interceptor system. The cleaning and televising is nearly complete of all 3 interceptors, the Cold Lake, Redstone, and Cove Run interceptors. The engineer that's performing the study for the Greater actually presented some of the most critical areas of the interceptors at the last Greater Sewage Authority meeting. It's nearing completed, and they're going to basically prepare a spreadsheet with conditions and locations, basically give it a ranking, whether it's a maintenance item number 1 or a critical item number 5, and the locations within the interceptors and when they need to be, that really need to be concentrated on. Colic Run seems to be the most critical interceptor condition-wise right now, but there are some other ones like, unfortunately, within the city, Redstone Interceptor within the city limits, there's a regulator on just to the South Union side of Kluss's Kluss's lumber yard. Well, that regulator by mandated DEP was taken out of service several years ago, but you have 2 very large lines feeding into right before that regulator, and there's only a 15-inch line on the downside of that. That is a critical flow item, which is certainly, as I've suspected for a long time, probably when the analysis comes out, that's going to be a condition that greatly affects the Redstone's interceptor through South Union Township, that convergence. So that study is ongoing. It's nearing completion. The field work is nearing completion. We should be able to provide each entity within the next month or 2 the spreadsheet of critical items to basically start looking at, and then we'll begin the hydraulic analysis portion of it and the monitoring portion of it at that point. But there certainly are some red line items within the study that are very apparent. And then, of course, we do have a lot of open joint, we got an old system, so it's an open jointed system where we're getting some infiltration within the system, so.
All right, well, thank you.
I got a couple of things I need to ask them. Back to Mr. Coffin's, he gave you a piece of paper about raising the driveway, or front of his driveway. He mentioned that to you, he was out there. Maybe I heard
Not
you
the
wrong.
driveway,
The road in front of you.
Yeah, the inlet.
The inlet.
It's just a handwritten,
Yeah, it's
quick
just, yeah.
handwritten note.
Yeah, just a note, yeah.
Yeah. It was just a note from
That
last
wouldn't
week.
work, was that correct, is your answer?
Like I said, typically, you want to depress inlets from the roadway surface, and the water has a way to get into the inlet. So from an engineering standpoint, raising the inlet is not something. I'll rewrite out there again and take a look at what's going on, and I'll meet Jason out there and
Okay.
I'll try something, but I mean, like I said, that event that took place on the 7th through the 9th of September, the remnants of Hurricane Gordon that came through here, I mean, that was ultra typical of a design storm for a township.
Mr. Cruiser's side didn't overflow at all at that time? No, that's okay.
No, I was out there Saturday, 24 hours after the storm began, and Sunday, 48 hours after the storm began. And actually, the storm went into Monday morning, but both Saturday and Sunday when I was out there, and I rode out all through the neighborhood out there, and the systems were functioning, so.
Okay, I have another question. 470 South Mount Vernon Avenue, they started demolition today.
Yes, they picked up their demolition permit last week, I believe it was on Friday maybe.
And they got their approval from the asbestos, or wasn't there?
There is no asbestos in the building.
They started today. My question is, we have all that signage out there. Now, they took the front down, the front's down, so someone would fall, wouldn't go onto the road. We open that road back up.
If the front of the building and at least 20 foot back on the sides is down, you can open the road back up.
On the side, no, with the right side, I need you to go out and look at it, that's
Okay.
what you think.
Yeah, as long, the height of the building is probably somewhere around 25 feet high, as long as you're at least 25 foot off the roadway, so
I
that
think
anything
anybody
that
needs
does
to get
fall.
your approval.
Yeah.
We have a lot of signs out there, and that's costing us a lot of money for that.
Well, and I know the school district and the school buses.
Yeah, they call me too, yeah.
And there's some residents up in the Jamison
Yeah.
area that really would like that road open back up. So I will look at it first thing in the
I
morning.
think the demolition guy would like to keep it like
I'll have
that.
somebody look at it, won't be me, I have to take my lad to the hospital.
Okay, sure. Just to make sure, I think it's okay, but I'm gonna get your.
Actually, I'll go after this meeting.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, John.
One other thing I wanted to add, I mentioned before, we got a $30,000 grant for the AMVETs to replace the wall that fell behind the AMVETs from Bill Kucinich from DEP. We did start that project, I think we started it last week, and we do have a portion of the wall up, so all the people with the AMVETs are real happy that we're up there getting that fixed. Actually, the last storm that we had up there started washing the corner of the building out, so it was only within a foot of the building. So we lucked out that the funding came through for that, and we are working on that project. It'll be complete by next month's meeting. That's all I have. Number 20, Mr. Solicitor.
I have nothing to report tonight.
That's good.
You did a fine job replacing your dad today.
Of course.
Well, then,
I appreciate it.
I thought you were talking to me at first. I'll make a motion to adjourn at 4:48
I'll second Mr. Scott's motion.
on the roll call. Mr. Scott, yes. Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Mr. Schiffbauer, no answer. Meeting's adjourned.
Let's have it.
He's
Yeah.
got to actually have a valve replacement.